This is the new Mini John Cooper Works. It costs from £33,500. It has 231 horsepower and will hit 0 to 62 miles an hour in just over 6 seconds. According to Mini, it's been developed with motorsport DNA and is the ultimate expression of the go-kart feeling. After spending a week with the new JCW driving it on Britain's roads, I think that this is one of the most enjoyable hot hatches you can buy. It is also one of the most frustrating. So, should you buy the new JCW? Let's find out. Under the bonnet is BMW's familiar 2-litre turbocharged B48 engine. It's found in everything from the BMW 1 Series to the X4 and even the Toyota Supra. It'll do 0 to 62 in 6.1 seconds, top out at 155 miles an hour and weighs just 1,330 kilograms. On paper, it's exactly what you'd expect from a modern JCW. Sort of. You might have noticed the lack of a gear stick. Yep, the new JCW is a 7-speed auto only, and for some people that will be a deal breaker before they've even turned a wheel. Mini has done a really good job with the exterior. The clean, minimal lines of the new F66 generation remain, but now you've got a more aggressive front bumper, a central exhaust, a rear diffuser and a spoiler. It all gives it a much more purposeful stance. 17-inch wheels come as standard, or you can opt for these 18s, even if they do look a bit phallic. There are also 11 colours to choose from, plus these bonnet stripes, which I find a bit disappointing. They're printed on clear plastic and I think they look just a bit cheap. I mean, what do you think? What do you think, mate? Not a fan? No? Other than that though, there's no mistaking this for anything other than a John Cooper Works. Inside, things get a bit more extreme. Everything feels chunky, exaggerated, and just a little bit cartoonish, but somehow it works. It feels special. This knitted fabric on the dashboard is really rather nice, as is the steering wheel. It's chunky and funky and feels quite good in the hands, and the seats, they're comfortable and supportive. The red and black colour scheme gives the whole interior that lovely sporting feel too. The Harman & Kardon sound system comes as standard, which is a nice bonus. But the main talking point is of course this huge circular OLED display. It looks brilliant, it's sharp, clean and incredibly frustrating. Mini has moved almost everything onto this central screen, which is completely flat. It doesn't adjust in any way. That means you're always looking at it at a bit of an angle. Now, I can live with that, but what I really struggle with is the user interface. I mentioned this to a friend of mine who's an international award-winning designer, and before I'd even said anything, he pointed out exactly the same issues. Good design balances aesthetics and functionality. It should naturally guide your eye towards the information you need, and this doesn't. Everything is floating around inside one big circle. There's no zoning, no hierarchy, no obvious place for your eye to go. Finding simple controls takes far longer than it should. For example, you want to turn on the heating, so you go here and it's all here, and that's fine. Now you want to turn it off. To turn it off, you have to go into a different setting, and if you go to 0, it says you can't turn it off because it's in auto. No, you have to press another thing up there. Now that's all fine while you're sat still, but imagine what it's like when you're driving. It feels a little bit like it was designed in a room where everyone was so preoccupied on whether they could do something, no one stopped to ask the question whether they should. Some of this could be improved with software updates, but the lack of physical buttons can't. I understand why Mini has gone this way. It references the original Mini's central speedometer, but that had only one job. This screen is trying to do hundreds of jobs, and as a result, it doesn't do any of them particularly well. 2 simple toggle switches for the climate control would have transformed the usability. Instead, everything lives on here, and that affects the entire ownership experience. Unfortunately, there are more compromises. Some parts of the cabin feel like the accountants have had their hands on them. these large plastic trim pieces don't exactly scream premium. The paddle shifters are too small and they're mounted too low, so they never feel quite right. And the indicator and wiper stalks, which used to be uniquely Mini, now feel like they've come straight out of the BMW parts bin. Rear legroom is virtually non-existent, the boot is tiny. Sure, you aren't buying a JCW because it's practical, but it is disappointing to see evidence of cost saving in a premium hot hatch. Thankfully, driving it is much better. Mini says the JCW is the ultimate expression of the go-kart feeling, and I have to agree. Steering is excellent, turn in and the front end reacts immediately. The whole car feels eager and playful. The grip is excellent too. It feels really rather confident, and it gives you the confidence to get a bit of a lick on. The B48 engine is lovely too. It's torquey, responsive and always feels ready to go. I found the gearbox can occasionally hesitate while it works out what gear it wants, but otherwise it's a really mature drivetrain. Unfortunately, it's not all roses. The brakes are fine on the road, but start pushing on the track and they can lose their edge. There's also no mechanical limited slip differential, which feels like a missed opportunity on a hot hatch like this. By far the worst thing is the ride. Sure, on a smooth, freshly laid piece of tarmac it'd be fine. The problem is, roads like that just don't exist in Britain. As soon as the surface gets rough, the suspension transmits every last imperfection directly to you. Every ridge, crest and bump, even ones you didn't know existed, feel like they're being exaggerated. You know when you go over a crest a bit too quickly and you feel your stomach turn over? That's what it's like driving this over every single bump and mound. You can feel your internal organs moving around. And that isn't a Clarksonism. Genuinely, you can feel them moving. Not one to drive after a Sunday roast then. In fact, the ride was so firm, it caused my camera to fall off. Holy shit. That's ruined. The ride doesn't just affect comfort and bright cameras, it's so busy that trying to use the touchscreen while you're moving becomes almost impossible. No, I want the radio. No. Yes. No! What is this? What's going on? Thankfully, there's a physical switch to change the drive modes, although every time you press it, the car insists on playing a little sound effect that interrupts whatever you're listening to.
The BBC makes, or ITV makes, or that.
Despite all of this, the JCW still feels like a complete package. It looks special, it feels special, it goes like the clappers, and every time you climb out of it, you're smiling. You feel sick, but you're smiling. So, should you buy this or the Cooper S? My advice is simple, drive both. If you simply want a stylish daily driver, the Cooper S is probably the more financially sensible and more comfortable choice. But if you enjoy driving and want the latest Mini turned all the way up to 11, the JCW is absolutely the one I'd choose. So, should you buy one? Well, that depends on your priorities and, more importantly, your tolerance to its flaws. I recently had the Vauxhall Mokka GSE on test, and the comparison between the two is surprisingly relevant. Both cost about £36,000, both do 0 to 60 in about 6 seconds, and both are performance versions of ordinary cars. And I really liked the Mokka GSE. Objectively, it's probably the better all-round car. It's more practical, it has better brakes and a proper limited slip differential. But the Mini has something the Mokka simply can't replicate: character. Every journey feels like an occasion. You feel cool walking up to it, you enjoy driving it, and you still look back at it when you parked up. It's tight, nimble and full of personality, and that's something you simply can't measure on a spec sheet. The new Mini John Cooper works then. It's not perfect. The infotainment system is frustrating, the ride is a bit too firm, and there's a couple too many pieces of evidence that BMW have been near the cost sheet. But that said, it feels special. It remains a really lovable thing. It feels utterly modern without losing any of that characteristic that makes a Mini feel so unique. Arguably, there are probably better hot hatches out there than this, but better Minis? Nah, I don't think so. And that's exactly what John Cooper Works should be.